So yeah, that revisiting my childhood kind of and using comic books as my own personal TARDIS helped me kind of look more towards the future and not just be caught up in this crappy job I have right now. So yeah, shorter story for you guys. That's it. That's what I got.
Thanks, dude. Keep it going for Glenn, guys. Keep it going. You know, I grew up with 5 brothers, and naturally they all were super into comic books, so I never went like a single day in elementary school or junior high without knowing what happened in the Marvel Universe and in the DC Universe. So I love comics. They're really great. I'm going to go ahead and bring up our next storyteller. Our next storyteller is someone who is a fabulous co-host of the show. A really, really great guy, one of my very best friends, and the reason that I actually got involved with Chatterbox in the first place. Please help me welcome Estevan.
The whisper is always my favorite way that you guys introduce me. It started with Jessie the first time she saw my name. She was just like, oh shit, is that his name? Estevan. And then she did that every time. And now Sammie's doing it. So I haven't told this story in a really long time, but I'm pretty sure I have told it here before. But anytime I think of time travel, I think about the first time that I had eaten an edible. Where I had no idea what to expect or what was coming. And it was... Man... When you can start referring to time in decades, it's pretty cool. So about 11 years ago, I went to a party where my friends were just like, hey, Esty, you've tried the marijuana before, right? And I was like, yeah, totally. But have you, though? Yeah, all the time. I've had a marijuana cigarette before. That's fine. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to try these brownies that we made. And I was like, that sounds great. And so they tell me, we're pretty sure, like, all right, this kid's never had an edible before in his life, probably never even smoked before, which was true. And so they're like, all right, so you're going to eat one of these, you're going to sit around for a few hours, and then wait for it to kick in. So I eat one, and we sit around for about 3.5 hours, and I'm not feeling anything. Little did I know that the stronger the edible, the longer it takes to kick in and digest and get into your system. So... At this point, I was convinced, hey, guys, I'm going to drive. I'm going to go. Also, PSA, don't drink and drive. Don't like any intoxicant whatsoever. Just don't do it and drive. However, so I get in the car. I take my friend home who lives in Tempe, and at the time I was living with my parents all the way out in Levine. So time skip from about... where the 101 and the 60 meet out in Mesa, time skip all the way. I'm at the 10 and baseline, and I go, oh shit, how'd I get here? Oh no, that edible must be kicking in. Oh man, I'm really cottonmouth. I can hardly keep my eyes open. This is fun. And before I really got a chance to worry about it, time skip again, I'm like turning off of baseline onto 20th Avenue or 20th Street. To go back behind Dobbins and take a little bit of a shortcut out to Levine, at least off the main road. So I'm driving down Dobbins, and I'm like, okay, get a hold of yourself. Like, only like 10 more minutes until home. We got this. We can do it. Get your shit together. Oh, look, a cornfield. So I look over, and I see this, like, really big cornfield that looked really inviting, because at the time I had an 88 Chevy Silverado, just a beast of a metal truck, that I was like, this should be fun. So I hook a right into the cornfield and I start driving. Where I messed up was there's a canal that borders that cornfield for like maybe a quarter of a mile. It's not very far, but once you're in it, you're committed now. So I stay in it. I get to the end. I'm panicking. I get out onto the road, and I was like, that was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever done. And I get on to Dobbins, and I see headlights, and I start to think about, like, oh, God, am I about to get pulled over? Time skip, I'm on the Indian reservation, lost, wondering how the hell I got there. And I was, like, passing the casino, and I was like, oh, I know where I am. Time skip, I'm in my driveway. And I was like, I made it home safe. Neat. Don't question it, put it in park, go inside. So at this point in time, living with my parents, still trying to be respectful, wake them up, let them know I got home safe. Which my idea was to go in, kick the door open, and yell, Mom, Dad, I'm home. And my dad wakes up and goes, what the fuck? What are you on, son? And I was just like, nothing, I'm going to bed. And my dad looks at my mom and is just like, is he on drugs? And my mom was like, probably, Jim, just go back to bed. So they go back to bed. I go into my room. I remember looking at my clock. It was 11:45. And I start brushing my teeth. And then I look back at my clock, and it's 12:30. And I was like, I have been brushing my teeth for 45 minutes. I need to stop. So at this point, it's really fucking with me, and the room's starting to spin, so I was like, screw this. Start just taking my clothes off from my bathroom to my bed, and the last thing I remember is passing out butt naked. Next thing I remember is my dad waking me up at 5 in the morning, and I have a miniature heart attack because I thought I was still butt naked. So he wakes me up, and he's like, hey, bud, Saturday morning, we're going to go over, like, just a plan for the day. We're going to go help your grandma, do yard work. And as he's talking, I look down, and I was tucked into my bed. And I, like, lift up the covers a little bit, and I'm like, all right, I'm wearing pajamas, shirt, sweatpants, cool. And I look around the room, and I'm like, there are, like, 5 empty soda cans, like, 4 or 5 empty water bottles, 2 empty bags of Doritos, a banana that I didn't eat, and, like, just a bunch of other shit from the kitchen. And I was like, all right, what I'm guessing was, got up in the middle of the night, decided I needed a snack or 4, and then came back to bed. But I didn't want to be caught out butt naked, so I got dressed. So my dad ends the morning plans by saying, oh, by the way, what the fuck happened to your truck? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I really don't think I need to repeat myself. And I was like, it rained last night. And he goes, all right. That is the most ridiculous answer that I could have expected from you right now. I'm going to let you get ready for the day. Once you're ready to go, we're going to go outside. We're going to look at your truck together. And you're going to tell me again that it rained last night. And I was like, yeah, because that's exactly what happened. So half hour later, we're both standing in front of my truck covered in topsoil. And I was like, yeah. Rained last night. My dad's like, just get in the fucking car. Can't do this right now. So we take my truck to my grandma's. We're like 10 minutes into our drive, driving down Dobbins. And my dad and I both get the same feeling at the same time. We look at each other, and then we look into the bed of the truck. And there's like 4 or 5 corn stalks chilling in the bed of the truck. And my dad looks at me and goes, what the fuck? And then I start sweating because now it's starting to come together, and I'm like, oh shit, we're passing the cornfield now. And my dad looks over and sees a very truck-sized swath trimmed out of the cornfield, looks at my truck, and says, fuck you, and hits the gas. So we get to my grandma's house. My dad and I are pulling the corn stalks out of the bed of my truck, and we're stuffing it in my grandma's trash can. My grandma comes outside and goes, what the fuck are you guys doing? And my dad looks at her and goes, it rained last night. Thank you, guys.
Guys, keep it going for my co-host, Estevan. That is one of my most favorite stories. Super hilarious. I feel like if that happened with my dad would be like, so you don't get to have a car anymore. It would definitely have been a way more severe punishment, not like a funny haha. He'd just be like, I'm very disappointed in you. And that's like the worst. It's not like, I'm not angry at you, I'm disappointed in you. And I think that hurts. That cuts deep from a parent to a child. All right. We're almost done. Do you guys know what next week's theme is? We'll tell you soon. Stay tuned for the theme. But in the meantime, we are going to bring up our next storyteller. Put your hands together for our chatter roadie, Shawn.
Chatter Brody. Chatter Brody. All right. So I didn't really plan on telling a story tonight, so this is going to be kind of made up as we go. But I think that there's this really cool thing that we all possess, and it is really time travel, and that's something that we can tap into at any point in time. And those are memories. And for those of you that know me, there's one specific place that like triggers all these amazing memories from like any era of my life, and I'll get to that in a minute. But there's also those memories that can trigger the things that aren't necessarily good or fun or exciting. But then when they do happen, you can then choose to surround yourself with people that can take care of you, which I think is one really cool thing as you grow up and you get to experience life. And so, like, as simple as walking into a coffee shop that you may have walked into once when you were a kid with your parents and may trigger something that was happy and exciting, or as simple as walking into some bar and running into an ex. Maybe not something that's so exciting, but as long as you're surrounded by people, you can make it through any of them. The one place or thing that it doesn't matter where I am in life or how I am in life or whatever it is, it will always bring me back to when I was 5 years old, and I got to experience this for the very first time. So as a 5-year-old, I had really no idea what I was getting into. I remember driving up to this place and parking, and at this point in time, you could park right in front of this place. You can no longer do that. And getting out and walking in. Now, this place I'm talking about is Disneyland. It's one of my most magical memories ever. And I remember being 5 and my grandma and grandpa and my mom taking me. And we go in and it's just like you get transported to this other world. And from then I had like the most amazing magical experience that I think I could ever have had. Walking in and you see the giant Mickey Mouse made of flowers like that. Like I can see it every single time. Even thinking about it, I can describe the smell of those flowers depending on the season you're there, which is really cool. And I think Disney itself is one of those things that you can time travel with because they have so many different eras there that you can experience. And depending on when you go, it's different. And every time you go, it's different. But I remember I was 5 years old and I was in love with Miko, like Pocahontas' sidekick, like his little raccoon, right? Love with Miko. And so the first, walk in and you see the stuffed animal and I run up and I get it and my mom buys it for me and I'm just so excited. And then I'm carrying this thing around everywhere with me and then we get into Tomorrowland and I'm experience all these things I've never seen before. And they take me to Frontierland, right? Where you can meet Davy Crockett, right? And Davy Crockett's wearing this really cool hat. I'm 5. I don't know the difference. So my mom buys me the hat. So I'm walking around Disneyland wearing a coonskin hat, carrying a Miko doll, just having the time of my life. The best day ever. There are pictures of it. And I look back and I'm like, guys, that was a bad idea. I might as well have wore the stuffed animal. Come on. But it is it's one of those magical places that I get to experience. And I know I'm privileged in the fact that I've had annual passes and I've experienced it many of times. And I've probably gone to Disneyland over 100 times. And I get to go whenever I want and however I want and experience it in different levels. But there's I can walk into that place and just relive my life from when I was 5 years old to the time I am now with the many different people that I've chosen to surround myself with, because that's one of the the rite of passage to be my friend. You eventually go to Disneyland with me and we experience it and you get and it's so funny because when you go with me, you park in the parking garage and I'm already jittery and the biggest smile on my face and we sit on the the little monorail and I have my mouse ears on. If I don't have mouse ears, I buy them the moment we get into the park to put them on. I have a collection of probably 58 different pairs of mouse ears. That's how many mouse ears I have. But it's just like there's pictures, everything. And so like with that having that special place, and I think everyone has one of those places.